up, guys? It is a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and I have another mommy to interview. Woo! So, this mommy I know from way back since I've been living in Florida. She's actually my sister's physical therapist. So I've known her since I was 13, and I'm 30 now. So you do the math. Her name is Beth. She is a mommy of I believe she's 15 now. Holy crap. Yeah. A 15-year-old girl who's in high school. And yeah, and so instead of me, because I was trying to do something nice for her and pamper her, she's actually doing something nice for me. She's going to be letting me tag along to do a hot yoga class. I've never done that before. Pray for me. And yeah, I am excited and curious to what this class is all about. Hopefully I don't pass out, child. All right, yeah. See ya in a little bit.
Yoga before because you knew the moves.
This was years ago.
But you remembered it because I could
a little
see
bit.
You were totally keeping.
But I make sure I was watching you guys so I could kind of keep up.
I know, and sometimes they give really good verbal instructions,
yeah,
and you don't have to watch. And then sometimes I'm like, what?
Yeah,
because it's But
all right. I want you to briefly do a brief introduction of yourself,
okay.
Your name and okay. So this is my good friend and my sister's physical therapist, Beth. I'm not gonna give you your last name,
okay.
So we're just gonna go first,
Got
Prince.
Okay.
So. All right, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, my name is Beth. I'm married. I've been married for 16 years. We have a daughter, Madison, which is the love of our life and everything we hoped she would be. And she's 14 now. 14. And I love being a mom. It's the best thing I ever could imagine doing. And every day is a great experience. And I work as a physical therapist. I do physical therapy, and I do that part-time. So I'm blessed to have 2 days off during the week to spend with my daughter and do volunteer work at the school. And
nice.
That's about it.
Nice. So tell me about your life before Maddie. Before you were married, before all the good stuff.
So I got married when I was 36. So I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
After I went to college and I did a lot of traveling. I had lots of friends and no responsibilities, just myself, and basically could do whatever I wanted and had a great time.
That sounds lovely. I didn't get to really travel before I had my kids, so.
Because you did it younger, but
yeah.
you'll do it after. I think you either do it before or
after. I pray I do it after. Yeah.
You will.
So, how did you meet Mark?
I met Mark because he is a speech therapist, and I worked at a place on the weekends, and I would sit at his desk. He worked there during the week, and I would sit at his desk, and I saw a picture of him holding a little baby, and he looked really sweet, and I'm like, oh, look how he's holding the baby. And someone fixed us up, and they said he's single. And then, so it was kind of like a blind date, but not really, because I had seen a picture of him, and he knew the people that I worked with, so they gave me a reference. They gave me a reference, a good reference, and then we started dating, and we dated for like 6 months, and then we...
nice.
And then we...
He knew. Look at that. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
It was like immediate, like the first time we talked on the phone for like, we talked like an hour nonstop. Just
really.
I think we had a lot in common because we, you know, worked in the same field, and that was it. And then we got married like a year after we started dating, a year and a half.
Okay. Nice.
And then we had Madison a year and a half later.
And how was it like as far as the whole process of trying to conceive?
That was challenging for us because of our age. So even though I guess it was, so we got married in March. It was over 2 years before I got pregnant. But when you're 36, that's a long time. Mm-hmm. So for us, it was difficult because we weren't sure, and we went through multiple tests and so forth because I wasn't conceiving, and then they pretty much said everything was normal, and we were looking into possibly doing in vitro, and it just so happened that the next month when we were going to maybe start the process, I got pregnant naturally.
Oh, wow.
So it was just like a blessing in disguise.
Oh my gosh.
So, and then, yeah, it was a pretty normal pregnancy, and
no morning sickness, no nothing?
I had morning sickness really bad for the first 3 months, but other than that, it was good. It was a good experience.
Oh, wow.
So.
Yeah, I remember you when you were pregnant. You were all glowing, all that.
till the end. The last month was like torture, as you know.
Oh my God. Tell me about it.
You know, the swelling, the feet this big, and the pain everywhere, and the back. And
my back. The back one was I didn't care for that at all. I was over it. For me, like when I had Julie, like the 4th month in, I was already over it. It was like, I'm only saying to keep you in just so that you can fully cook, But I was over it. So tell me about like motherhood, like as far as like the good, the bad, or not necessarily bad, but the, I guess, not so glitz and glam of it.
Well, of course, I was 38 when I had her, like I said, and I read every book under the sun, so I was a complete mess when I had her. I thought I was going to do everything wrong, and I would write everything down when I breastfed her and which side it was on, and I had to make sure that I changed her diaper, like if she was even slightly wet, I was constantly changing her diapers even when they weren't dirty because I was so afraid that something, I was going to do something wrong. And so I worried a lot. So I think I didn't breathe for like the first 6 months, I would say. Like every second of the day, I was just like, okay, is everything going to be okay? Is everything going to be okay? And so I think that was the hardest part, and the sleep deprivation, which I'm sure everyone goes through. But for me, it was really, really bad. And I had at one point when she was like 2 months old, I had a panic attack.
Really?
Like a complete meltdown. And and she was crying, and I just handed her a mark, and I'm like, I have to sleep. And I went into the other bedroom, and I shut the door, and I slept for like 9 hours straight.
Really?
And he had to feed her do everything, which she was fine. He did it, and I was like, then I came out, and I'm like, okay, now I can function.
Oh my God!
I think that was the hardest part for me, was the sleep.
Really?
Sleep deprivation. I didn't do well with that.
did you ever experience like any baby blues or like postpartum depression?
Not really.
No?
Like a little bit here and there, but nothing like significant
Serious?
like
Okay.
that some people like go through,
Okay, okay.
which I was thankful for.
Good, good, good. So like, tell me about like your day, like your routine. Like, what is it that you do? Like when you wake up in the morning.
Like now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So now,
Well, now she's much older, so
I
it's
know,
like
it's pretty easy now because she started ninth grade, so.
oh my God.
But I still, because she's an only child,
Yeah.
and I have time, so I do a lot for her still.
Okay.
So I make her lunch, and I, help her get things ready, and so every day I'm pretty much busy with that.
Okay.
And then I get her ready, then I drive her to school, and then I go to work.
Okay.
And then from there, then I come home from work, pick her up from school. So I still do all of, a lot of that, dropping her off, picking her up from school still. And then on my days off on Tuesday and Thursday, I was always doing PTA things where I would volunteer at the school, which I'm blessed to have the best of both worlds, where I can have like a career and still be part of, her life in school. So from kindergarten till 5th grade, I was always the class mom.
Oh, cool.
And I love doing that. And then you play in all the parties and you get to, be there at all
Nice.
the little school activities and stuff. So that was really important to me because that was the one thing that my mom missed out on.
Okay.
Because she went to work and she only worked while we were in school, but since I was the third child, so I always wanted her to be the class mom.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's like, I'm sorry, because I have to be at work and I can't be the class mom. So that was one of my goals as a mother, to be the class mom.
Yeah.
Because you kind of like want to do the things that,
Yeah.
you want to do the things that your mother did or the things that she couldn't do.
Exactly.
So.
How was it growing up? Like, tell me a little bit about your childhood.
My childhood?
Yeah.
It was good. I'm the baby of 3, so I have a brother and sister that are 6 and 7 years older than me.
Okay.
And
I didn't know they were that much older. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So my brother was basically out of the house by the time I got to 5th grade, but we were very close up until then. And I just had, like a normal childhood. I went to all the schools right in my little neighborhood. I had my little childhood friends. Of course, our life was different. We could walk to school ourselves. We would like walk or ride our bikes to school. Now I'm still 9th grade. I'm still driving Madison to school because I'm like, no, I'm not having her walk to school by herself or even with anybody. So, it was a little bit different. And we would, play around the neighborhood and ride our bikes and go to the park. We could ride our bikes to the park.
You're not originally
from Florida.
Are you?
From Pembroke Pines.
Really? I always thought you were.
So Mark's the New Yorker.
I know he's from New York, yeah. But I didn't know you were born and raised in Florida. Oh, okay. Okay. All right, so Maddie's a teenager. How is that?
Well, we're just really getting into the teenage years. So she's, it's very interesting, and she's starting to ask me a lot of questions, and so, I don't know, it's just different the way, like, my parents didn't sit down and tell me, things, like, we talk more openly with our kids now, so. I pretty much learned everything in school or from my friends or whatever. So, but my philosophy with her is, and it has been since she was little, is always, I'm not one of those people that give her too much information. When she starts asking me like good questions that I know that she can understand what she should know, then I share the information with her. I'm not like the one that sits down and says, okay, this is the birds and the bees, and this is so we kind of like, she learns at a slower, I'm teaching her at a slower pace about like certain things and, in life. And that's kind of like my philosophy because I want to keep her as innocent as possible for as long as she can be.
Of course.
Where some of my friends are like, oh, I sat down and I, you know, told him everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So in that aspect, she's probably a little bit more naive than some of our friends.
Okay.
But she'll get there.
Yeah.
She'll get there eventually.
Does she ask you about boys?
Not really.
No.
But we just make it clear to her right now that she's too young to have a boyfriend. So we kind of like just set the boundaries right there. And so I said, you can be friends with boys, but as soon as you say, you know, he's my boyfriend, he's going to want to hold your hand, he's going to, you know, and that's just like and I said, and that's fine, but when you're this age, I think it's too young to be, so.
Of course.
So she's definitely, we say no boyfriends, just friends with boys.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think she has, you know, a lot of our friends, these kids, they all have boyfriends.
They start really young.
Oh yeah, they started. So she learns a little bit, you know, from them. Yeah. I'm like, okay, you can live vicariously through their stuff. You don't need to be experimenting yet. And she just went to homecoming. This is a funny story. So she went to homecoming, and she went with all her girlfriends. There was like 6 or 8 girls, and they all met at one of the girls' house. And you know how you do pictures.
Pictures, yeah.
And so Grandma was there, and then she goes, I can't believe all these girls are going to this dance by themselves. She goes, in my day, if you didn't have a date, you were sitting home. It was so funny. And they're all, you know, doing their own thing. And I'm like, they're independent women.
They don't need no man.
Right? It was so funny. I was laughing, like the different, you know, generation.
Well, when I went to homecoming, I didn't have dates. Like all my homecomings, I went with my girlfriends.
How old were you when you started dating? Or when your parents
when my parents knew I started dating. Well, I was 18. Because like Leslie, my dad, you know, put the fear of God in me. You know.
Yeah, Mark's kind of like
he
that.
He was not playing that. You know, I didn't send you to school for no boyfriend. I sent you to school to learn. And then when you're done learning, maybe, you know.
So you weren't dating at all in high school?
No, I mean, there were guys that I talked to.
But you weren't allowed to, they weren't allowed to come to your house, pick you up in a car, go on like an official date?
None of that.
Right.
But like.
I think that's how we'll be too.
You know, but it's one of those things where it was a good thing, and it also was, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was a bad thing, because I felt like, and that was a younger me, I'm speaking for the younger me, had I not been in a relationship, I probably could have ran loose. Had I not been in that relationship, I could have been all over the place, you know? But I think with that one relationship, it kind of kept me grounded, and, you know, I was just with him, you know, and that was that. But yeah, it could have been a really bad situation.
Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but, you know, I guess I wasn't really missing out on anything either. And they're all kind of almost the same, give or take. But yeah, any attitude that you deal with Maddie?
Yeah, she thinks she knows more than me now. She's 14. But you know, like the mood swings and stuff. But I understand that because I'm a girl.
Yeah.
But Mark does not understand that. He's like, "What's wrong with her?" Da, da, da. And she'll just like snap, and you know, she's pretty respectful, but she doesn't say anything bad. She just gets the attitude and the eye roll, and or she'll
the vibe is different. Yeah.
And so, but not really that bad yet.
Okay.
So it probably
won't be.
You know what? She's pretty chilled. Like she's laid back. Like she has like a very, like I'm very emotional, and Mark's more laid back. So she's kind of like in between. So
she's a perfect combo of you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I think so far. You know, like she can have her moments, but it's not like off crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing I love about her is that, or so far it's been that she doesn't get involved too much in the drama. She
That's good.
if it's happening, she kind of like doesn't feed into it, because I always tell her the more you talk about something and make a big thing of it, so she kind of is. She's been lucky that everything's been kind of smooth for her. She has different friends, but she's not just with one group, so she has a lot of different friends that I think helps keep it smooth, and you're not with the same people all the time. So you know how that can be. Like I did that in high school, and you know, there was a couple of bad situations, not really bad, but you know, where there were problems. And
there's a lot of cattiness. I didn't really like to hang out with girls like that. I was somewhat of a tomboy growing up. I didn't really care for hanging out with girls because I knew they brought drama, and I knew it was just unnecessary cattiness, and I didn't have time for that. You know.
So knock on wood, so far so good. We're just halfway through 9th grade, so.
How does she like it?
She loves high school. She loves it. She's involved in like the drama and dance, and so she has, you know, she loves that when you're like part of a club or a group. So, and she got to meet all the seniors because.
Oh, they have freshman, senior day?
Well, no, because she's in the drama and they mix all the grades.
Okay.
So kind of like she gets to know the upperclassmen. You know, when you're a 9th grader, she's like, oh, mommy, I know this many seniors and they like me, you know, and they're nice, you know, so.
Oh, that's cool.
So she's had, really, really good experience so far.
Nice. That's cool.
Just adjusting to the academic part is a little bit.
Well, yeah.
Easy. I'm like, and I can't help her. She's like, can you help me with my geometry? No. That was a long time ago, and I didn't get an A, let's just say. Like, you do not want me tutoring you. But I can help her with her English and things like that, and writing. And then Mark is tutoring her in Spanish, because she has Spanish right now.
Mark speaks Spanish?
He's not like speaking it fluently, but grammatically, like he can help her with everything. He knows.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
But he never he's so, you know, he never will say, oh, I can speak Spanish or whatever. But he really can. He can understand it.
I didn't know that. Look at Mark. Okay. So what's one thing that you fear as far as having a child? Like, what is a fear that you have?
Well.
Oh, you don't fear anything.
Oh no, I fear everything. Well, of course, when I first had her, I was, developmentally, is everything going to be normal? And she didn't walk at 12 months, so I was went to the doctor, and I'm like, she's not walking yet. She needs to walk. And so I guess I feared, that everything would be good with her, and that she would develop normally, and then, do well in school.
Yeah.
And so far those were mostly my fears when she was younger.
Okay.
And then at this point, I guess my biggest concern is making sure she stays on the right path and is surrounded by good people and doesn't, experiment in too many things where she can be exposed to different things.
Yeah.
And then just keeping her protected, against the, evils of the world, and making sure that, we always make sure that we supervise her all the time, no matter where she is and what she's doing. And, but I'm not really that fearful anymore. Now I'm more hopeful and looking forward to the future, and, seeing where she's going to go with her life and what she's going to do, and, making sure that she finds things that make her happy,
Yeah.
I always stress that your work or whatever you do is, you have to love what you do.
Exactly.
And so far she's found a lot of things that she enjoys, so it's been, good for her as far as that goes.
Nice. Do you ever like think in like, well, like with me, I don't know if it's because my kids are still young. I always like, I'm a mom. Like, I still have to process that. Like, holy crap! Like, I got babies. Like, does that still, like, at this point of the game, like, does it like still?
But I feel like for me, I never really had a sense of purpose in my life. Like even when I was single, and I always had like this empty space that I could never like put my finger on it. I didn't know what it was. But I guess because there wasn't really, I don't know, I never had anything that totally fulfilled me as a person. So I think that when I had her, it's like, so I might cry. So every day I wake up, I know there's a reason why I'm waking up. And I never felt that. I never had that fulfilled desire to like get up and be like, okay. Yeah. But I know that every day now, like when I wake up and I walk across the house to her and I see her, I'm like, that's my purpose. That's my the thing that drives me, that makes me want to be, they make you want to be a better person.
Of course.
And, even we're always having to set an example for them, even though I don't always set a good example. But I just, I think that's like the most, I don't know, the best thing that I've experienced with her so far. But the one thing I will say is, because I'm a Leo, I'm kind of a control freak. I thought that when she was born that I would, teach her this and that, and I would have this little piece of clay that I was going to mold into like, this perfect person, or try to mold into and share make her into this perfect person, but their personalities are there. That was the biggest thing that I found. I was so surprised. No matter what you try to do, they are who they are.
Anderson and I have this conversation all the time. And he's like, when they are who they are. And, God just put us here just to coach them, kind of foster their personality that they already have.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. It's true.
Because they are who they are, and nothing is going to change them.
Right.
So it's just your job to just coach them to do the right, and teach them right from wrong, and know that you coach them to the best of your ability, so that when they do leave and do their own thing, that they know right from wrong. And if whatever they do, know that you did your part, and God can handle the rest.
Believe that.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
But I gotta keep it sitting in my head.
Right? You don't want to tame them too much. Right. Like there's certain.
Oh my God.
And that's the thing that I was like, oh my gosh. So when I, because I would watch people, their kid would have like a temper tantrum. I'd be like, why don't they do something? And then I'm like, and then when you have your own kid, it's like it's like an eye-opening experience.
Yeah, it is.
Like all of my philosophies that I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this, and my kid's not going to do that, and I'm going to do this. And then when you get there, you're just like, oh, now I get it. It's like, oh my gosh. Because if you try to interrupt their meltdown, it's only going to like escalate and get worse.
Oh my gosh.
So you're just like, okay. So that was really interesting, a learning experience.
Yeah. What else do I want to ask you? If you can give a mom any advice, what advice would you give her?
I would say, don't worry. Because if you don't change their diaper, if you don't feed them within, like the time that they're supposed to eat or whatever, that they're going to be okay. So I always wanted to have a second child. We tried really hard and we weren't able to. But I wanted to, I wanted Madison to have a sibling, but I wanted to have a second child so I would have to be able to experience the beginning again.
Yeah.
And say, you know what, it's okay if they cry, or
Yeah.
it's okay if I don't do this or if I don't do that. And I think we, I mean, it's very cliche, but we're very hard on ourselves to be like the perfect mother, but try to enjoy them more and worry less. But that's easier said than done.
Right.
That's what I would do. And another thing that I maybe would have done differently is I would have stayed home longer.
I was going to say, how long did you stay out?
12 weeks. I
Okay.
got 12 weeks, that was it.
Okay.
So, you know, the big decision was, should I give up my job and stay home, or should I go back to work? And it was kind of an option, but then, of course, life would have changed dramatically.
Right?
Because, you know, it takes two incomes now. So,
Yeah.
So I would say, if I had to do it again, I probably would have stayed home like the first year and really just like absorbed everything. Minute of it that I could, because you can't go back.
Yeah.
And another thing, and as you know, the time just flies so fast. Isn't it crazy?
Like ridiculous.
I know. I'm like, and that's the thing, that it goes faster than you realize.
Holy smokes, it's too fast.
But that was advice that I got from someone too when I had Madison. And so I always would repeat that in my mind. I would always say, you know what, sit down, don't clean the, you know, don't do this, don't do that. Just sit down and spend the time with them, because all those other things can wait.
Yeah.
And you only have that moment, you know, at that time.
Yeah.
And if you miss it, then it's gone.
It's gone, for real.
So
very true.
I think that's, and someone gave me that advice when I had her. So I always try to do that.
Yeah.
Even now, I still try to do it.
Do you find yourself ever forgetting about yourself? Because, like, I think, like, the main reason why I started this was because sometimes as moms and significant others, like, we can get so wrapped up in everybody else's lives and then we forget about self. Knowing, like, and then, not that it's a bad thing, because when we become moms, we become selfless, you know. But sometimes we forget about ourselves, and it's like the saying where it's like, how can you take care of somebody else if you can't take care of yourself, or if you don't take care of yourself? So do you ever have moments where you feel like...
Yes. And so a lot of times I think it's more when you're trying to be something to everybody. So I'm trying to be a good wife. I'm trying to be a good mother. I try to do the volunteer work at the school and this and that. And then I think the part where I get really upset is when my husband, Mark, gets mad at me. My husband gets mad at me because you're doing this instead of doing that. And then Madison's like, she'll say to me, oh, why didn't you pick up my new tights that I needed for dance? And why didn't you do this? And then, you know, Daddy or your husband says, oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there going, oh my gosh.
I am not a robot. Yeah.
I have done. And then I'm like, I'm trying to do everything for everybody. And then you can get a little bitter. And that's when I say, like I felt, and then I get really angry, and sometimes I'm like, I'll just cry, or I'll yell at everybody and say, you're not being nice, and I go out of the room or whatever. And then I feel sorry for myself, and I feel bitter, and then I say to myself, you know what? It's okay. And then I try to, that's why I do yoga. I try to do, yoga's the one thing that I like to do where I know it's just for me and it helps clear my mind. Because when we were doing that class, you can't think of anything else because it's especially so that heat. When you're sweating and it's so hot and you're just like focusing that. So I feel like when I do that and I come out, then I'm like, okay, then I'm like energized. And like you said, it's so important to be able to give yourself that time where it's just you and you're not thinking about anybody else, but just trying to do something that makes you happy.
Of course.
And I mean, I'm blessed, I'm lucky right now that I'm able to do that a couple of times a week where
Yeah.
I have that time to myself.
Yeah.
But it's so important.
It is. It really is.
And it's funny when you're single, because I was, wasn't married with kids for a long time. I had a lot of free time, and I didn't appreciate it. So now it's like, that's another word of advice. Appreciate your free time because, as you know, there is no
free time. Even when you go to the bathroom, there's no free time.
They're walking in the door, mommy.
Oh my! Or they'll just sit right there and just watch you. I got a couple of those that just like to pop in and just,
It's a good time for a conversation.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh. Well, I won't keep you for too long. I appreciate you for doing this interview.
It's my pleasure.
Yes.
I think this is like a great thing that you're doing.
I wanted to treat you, but you ended up treating me to yoga. So I'm really happy that I got a chance to interview you.
Thank you.
This is cool.
It was great.
Yes.
I look forward to all the stories
I
and
know,
everything.
right? I can't wait.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.